Hey guys, welcome back to the stream. This is, I would say, the second stream that we have, and it's quite important because in this one, we will be talking about two things. First of all, we have the news about SEC dropping their lawsuit against Binance, which is a great win for Binance. And we're also going to talk about the Pakistan's Bitcoin reserve, which absolutely is a strange news. It's interesting. I mean, if we all are pro crypto, and it's a good news for us because it's another sovereign nation that is adopting and accepting crypto, and one that has said in the past that it will never legalize crypto. So having that country finally adopting crypto, and not just adopting crypto, not just accepting it, but making a Bitcoin reserve. So we're going to talk about the implications that we have in this, the consequences that we may have, because it's not all positive news that it's developing a Bitcoin reserve. It can also go sideways. So we're going to talk about that and what outcome we can expect from it. So these are the two news that we will be talking about in this live stream. And I'm trying to open up the live chat that I have. Although it's really, I'm really new to live streaming, so hopefully pretty soon we get more viewers so we can get the get things rolling in the live chat. But let's start with the I hope the audio is fine. So yeah, okay. So let's start with the SEC news and get it out in the open before we jump into the news about the Bitcoin reserve. So I think if we have been following the SEC lawsuit against XRP, we are well, not just from that, SEC has been losing against all of these crypto corporations, crypto firms that it has went against, starting from XRP. That battle was lost. Gary Gensler did not go out of SEC with honor. I mean, we all are, I think, very much aware of how he went out. So in the end, it seems like all of the all of these things are putting getting into right places. XRP won the suit that was put against it by SEC, and now Binance, they have decided, SEC has decided to drop the lawsuit against Binance, which is an amazing news because it has been holding back Binance. All of those people who are invested into Binance, they obviously were worried on what's going to happen with Binance with this lawsuit. But now I think it won't be held back anymore. And all of those people that were hesitant to get into BNB, I think they'll jump straight in, seeing how the market is performing. So we have 2 points, I think 2 points that have increased in favor of altcoin season. The fear and greed index is sitting at about 65. Bitcoin is at about 106,000. So it is stable at this point. And we talked about Ton in the previous stream. It is also holding good. I mean, it developed a new support and resistance, and it is holding it, which is a really great news. So we have all the details about the lawsuit against SEC, against Binance from SEC. You can get all of these details from the CNBC article. I'm gonna give the link in the description. But let's start talking about the Pakistan's Bitcoin reserve. Is it a good idea or is it a bad idea? I mean, one of the national English newspaper, Dawn, is calling it fictitious asset. It's not in favor of what Pakistani government is doing with the Bitcoin reserve. According to this article, that is wrong because if it goes for a loss, that won't just be the Pakistani government that will be going for a loss. Those assets will be of the nations, of the people, of their taxes. So eventually they will be going for a loss. And this is a lot. There's two perspectives, right? One is those people who believe Bitcoin is financial freedom. It is a tool to capture value, to distribute wealth, and all those things. But there are also people who say that this is just a pure speculative asset, a digital currency that does not have any intrinsic value. So we have both of these perspectives floating around, and you are obviously welcome to pick both of them. There's there's things that do suggest that it is a fictitious asset, that it is a speculative asset without any intrinsic value. But there are also there's also reasoning that suggests that it is not a fictitious asset, that it is actually a good financial instrument to democratize the financial system that we have. So, there's obviously, personally, I believe that even though it has its cons, its price, it fluctuate a lot, but I do believe that it provide a financial freedom. A lot of these, a lot of the banking system, it is centralized, and we do need a decentralized financial system as well to take away the monopoly of the centralized financial system. So in that perspective, I do agree that Bitcoin is good, but I also agree that it is, I would not just start accepting payments in Bitcoin or start putting my savings in Bitcoin if that's entirely what I'm relying on, because I know that its price can go up and down. It can crash at any moment, and I don't know when it's going to crash. You won't face this thing with gold. I mean, the price of gold also fluctuates, it goes up and down, but in the long term, it goes up. It's also same for Bitcoin, and that's what the Pakistani government is, basing their decision on. That in the long term, if Pakistan has invested in Bitcoin years ago, our reserve would be much more valuable now. So that's the reasoning, and we are going to debunk this in this live stream. So from this article, we have a lot of details, but the core point that I want to, in a sense, debunk here is which sentence is right here. So the resources the government will put at risk, it ventures into, if it ventures into the world of crypto, are public resources. Now, Pakistani government is following the footstep of Trump's administration. And Trump's administration, he talked about, and not only that he talked about establishing a Bitcoin reserve, but he did pass an executive order. But you need to focus on what he did there. So I'm going to show you guys what exactly did he do there. So this is an article about him passing that executive order. I think that's what the article is for. And if you go down there should be a sentence somewhere right about here. I don't know where it was. Okay, so here it is. It is that the reserve will be capitalized with Bitcoin owned by the federal government that was forfeited as part of criminal or civil asset forfeiture proceedings. So US is not using their treasury to convert it from other assets, other financial instruments into Bitcoin and then developing a Bitcoin reserve. They're not doing that. They're not doing any sort of conversion. What they're doing is all of the Bitcoin that they have, in a sense, seized, it's government and these institutes, they do seize assets that are involved in, criminal activities. They're going to use those Bitcoins that are seized by the government institutes, and they're going to, put them, that currently will be in the custody of federal government. They're going to use those to develop that Bitcoin reserve. So they're not converting, they're not buying cryptocurrency. Although Trump did say that he is going to buy Bitcoin and going to develop the biggest, reserve of Bitcoin, which honestly I don't really agree with it, because the whole point of Bitcoin is to be, to be not centralized. And if US is holding the major portion of the supply of Bitcoin, essentially they control the price of Bitcoin, and that just takes away the whole purpose of Bitcoin. So I don't really agree with that. But the executive order that he passed to develop a Bitcoin reserve was not that he's going to convert USD into Bitcoin, but it's going to, use the Bitcoin that they already have in that the federal government has, and they're going to use it in the reserve. And almost, I wouldn't say the same thing, but it's somewhat the same thing with Pakistan's Bitcoin reserve, which I think most people are not understanding. So what this article from Dawn, their perspective was that the money that they're going to use to develop the Bitcoin reserve is public resource. And if it goes for a loss, it's not the government, it is the public that will be going for a loss. That is true. But what they're doing is they're going to use the excess electricity that is developed. They're going to use it to mine, Bitcoin, and that is how they're going to develop the Bitcoin reserve. And there will be other ways. So it says a puzzling press release from the finance ministry a few days ago added to the confusion. It announces that the government has allocated 2,000 megawatts for crypto mining. It was puzzling because there was no mention of price, but more importantly, there is literally no such thing as electricity allocation in Pakistan. There's no cost of so. Of course, this whole article is going against that whole notion of Pakistan developing a Bitcoin reserve. So, but the point is that they're not going to, convert PKR, the Pakistani rupee, the Pakistani currency, and they're going to convert it to Bitcoin. They're going to use it to buy Bitcoin. I personally think that will not be a good idea because right now, Bitcoin is at about $105,000. It can drop at any moment. As the market crashes, it is going to crash. This thing has happened before, and obviously it is going to happen again. So I don't agree that this is how the government should go because it's a volatile asset. I think the whole point of Bitcoin is to be volatile because that's how people are able to, generate wealth. They're able to enter when the price is lower, and they're going to make profit when the price increases. They obviously can invest in gold, but the margin of profit there is lower. The price increases very gradually. So, the profit taking can take time there. The whole point of people, the whole glamour bit that Bitcoin has is that it price fluctuates pretty frequently, and that's how they're able to benefit. So, in that regard, I don't agree that it'll be a good idea to, use your treasury or use your foreign exchange reserves, convert them to Bitcoin, and then make a whole reserve out of it. Because right now, if it's $105,000, it can easily drop to $50,000 at any moment. It'll just take a day or 2 days for it to drop to $50,000, which will be pretty drastic. Let's hope that it doesn't happen, but it can happen. It has happened before. It was at about $72,000 when it crashed to $35,000, went down to about $18,000, and this was pretty recently. But it has also went up to about $105,000. So we have to take a look at it from both perspectives. But the idea of using excess electricity to mine cryptocurrencies and using other ways to get Bitcoin and put them in reserve, I think that's a good idea. So you're not essentially hurting your reserves, your actual the foreign exchange reserves. You're not hurting your reserves, but you're using other sources, which even if you didn't have those, it would not bankrupt the country. So if you're using excess electricity that the country is producing that is not being used anywhere else, and you're using it to mine Bitcoin and then making a reserve out of it, I think that's a good idea. I mean, the price, of course, can drop, but one thing that we have seen evidently is the price of Bitcoin has always increased. It dropped from $72,000 to $19,000, but look at where it is now. It's not at $19,000. It is at $105,000, and there's no cap here. We don't know how far it's gonna go. Looking at how all of these adoptions are happening with Trump being pro crypto, turning pro crypto. He wasn't pro crypto before, but he turned to pro crypto. His stance changed, and now Pakistan, which said that it will never legalize crypto, has now. I still don't think they have legalized it. I think they're still working on the tax infrastructure to eventually legalize it, but they're developing their own Bitcoin reserve. So all of these countries, they are going in favor of Bitcoin, going in favor of crypto. Right now, I think they are going to be in favor of crypto, but as soon as it drops, I think they will easily turn, as much as easily they turned in favor of crypto. But the thing is, in the long term, the number of users, in crypto, they have increased. The number of capital has increased. Right now, the total market cap is about $3.37 trillion, which is pretty huge. That is a huge portion of wealth that is being put into crypto, and everyone wants to they want to get into it. So we can see the glamour that there is, the incentive that there is. So this thing that they're talking about here is that there is no quotas of who gets how much electricity. So what exactly is being announced in this press release? The third suggestion that has been floated is to create an onshore crypto exchange in Pakistan, much like we already have a commodities exchange. This is probably the most benign of the suggestions, since all of it does is make crypto trading a regulated activity without putting any state resources into play. Um, the thing is, Pakistan has not legalized crypto, but it's not like Pakistanis are not trading crypto. They are. I think huge portion of people are. They have exchange accounts. Binance itself is has been promoting cryptocurrency in Pakistan using influencers, using ads on Google and Meta ads. They have been running advertisements, and I know a lot of people, who are trading and they are in Pakistan. So I don't think it's going to change anything. Right now, it's not legalized, so they're illegally trading. And what's happening here is that they are making profit. It's just that the government is not getting anything from it because they haven't legalized it. They haven't put any tax on it. There's no tax on gains. So the revenue is being poured in, but the government is not benefiting from it. You have India who legalized crypto, and the way they legalized it is by putting tax on gains, which it does make sense. Although I think the gains are pretty, the tax on gains is pretty high, about 35%, which lowers the margin for profit. But uh, the government is benefiting from it right now because they have not created any tax infrastructure to put tax on the gains that people are making through crypto. The Pakistani government is not making anything from it because they have not legalized crypto. Still, I don't think they have enough resources to catch those people to prohibit it from trading, but they are trading. There's a huge amount of people who are doing it. There's a huge public that is trading, that is promoting it. So I think it doesn't change anything. I think it will only benefit the government and the people if they legalize it and they regulate it, right? I think that will be much more beneficial because they're doing it anyways. So it is critical to keep in mind that crypto is a fictitious asset. It is not the first nor the last of these. Fictitious assets are those that exist only in the mind of the holder. If enough people buy into the fiction, they can become liquid, meaning you can trade them for real goods and services. Money, for example, is a fictitious asset, as is gold. But both are highly liquid. I can pay my bills with money, buy my groceries, because almost everyone in my society buys into fictitious that money or gold represent. I do see the point, although I think when it comes to money, there is a gold reserve that is backing it. There are assets that are backing it. The gold, gold itself in itself is an instrument of value. And if you talk about cryptocurrencies, I mean, there's a lot of cryptocurrencies. We have stable coins that are not fictitious assets. They are pegged to a stable cryptocurrency like euro, like USD, or any other cryptocurrency. So I mean, you're more than welcome to hold on to those. Your value is not going to depreciate. I mean, it's going to depreciate on USD in other currencies as well. So you have different. I mean, if you're into meme coins that are not being traded, they will eventually become illiquid. There's no point of holding them, even if they have value, but no one is trading them. But that is where you have to have this knowledge to know which cryptocurrency you want to get into. So. It says, not so with crypto. This is purely a speculative asset created for speculative purposes. I think that's a good point. Given prominence by speculator interest and currently in the process of being pumped by a massive speculative scheme being launched by the White House itself. I think it's talking about the World Liberty Financial. This endows it with a great deal of speculative value, but none of it is real. I think most of it is real. It depends on, where you're looking at. If you're looking at hyped up meme coins on Solana, you will have a bad perspective of cryptocurrency. In some way you may call it gambling, because you don't know which token is going to be pumped, which token is going to get dumped. So getting into these cryptocurrencies is purely a gamble. But then you also have cryptocurrencies that have utilities. People are actually using it. There are a lot of places where Bitcoin itself has acted as a store of value. It has acted as a mean of, a payment gateway, a mean, to transfer money internationally. Although do believe that it should be regulated, so it's not being used in criminal activities. But it's about, we have so many categories in cryptocurrencies. We have DePIN, we have real world assets, we have, well, now we have the whole AI category, we have utility tokens. But when you take a look at meme coins, of course, you're going to have the opinion that they are a speculative asset. But if you take a look at other cryptocurrencies that are serving real value, I think your opinion is going to change. So it's about which token that you want to get into. The point here is, if there is a cryptocurrency that has an actual value, I mean, it has utility, it has a whole business operating, where it has utility, it has demand, it has value, it is liquid. But when you reach that point, eventually the cryptocurrency becomes stable. When it becomes stable, it, there's no point of trading it for traders, because if it's stable, it's not going to drop, it's not going to increase drastically in minutes, seconds, or days. So that takes away the glamour the traders have in those cryptocurrencies. So, you do have cryptocurrencies that are, in a sense, good, that are stable. But people don't want those. People who are trading cryptocurrency knowingly don't want those cryptocurrencies. They will rather trade a cryptocurrency that is volatile, because that's how they can make profit. So I think the market is still immature. Cryptocurrency in itself is immature. The technologies that we have behind it, the security that we have behind it, the whole infrastructure and the networking that we have behind it, I think it is useful. We can develop amazing, platforms, applications, that will have a lot of benefits that we cannot get in the Web 2 platforms. But right now, like I said, the market is immature, and it will take time for it to improve, to become more stable. And right now, I don't think any project is leveraging the technology, the blockchain technology that is behind it. They're just using it for trading cryptocurrencies, but it has potential for a lot more utilities. A lot of these projects have been, trying to develop ways through which they can integrate blockchain and cryptocurrencies in real world. Um, but like I said before, people in crypto are not here for the technology. Most of them are not here for the technology. They're in this for profits. They're in this for gains. They learned about cryptocurrencies from people who made profit, who shared their stories of how they made 10x, 50x, 100x, 1000x from crypto. So that is when most of the audience is coming in. That's why most of these people are coming into crypto. So it will take time for this to change, to become better, and that is my belief. So let's conclude this whole thing. I think developing the Bitcoin reserve, it's good. Right now Pakistan needs needs favor, needs support of US. It needs to improve their relationships, and I think in some of the, I think the IMF bailout requirements, I think one of those was to legalize crypto, if I'm not wrong, and it could be part of that as well. It could be one of the, they're fulfilling one of the requirements of the IMF bailout, and it's also that they want to develop relationships with US, with Trump. and that could also be beneficial. So I think in the long run, it will be beneficial. It will be in the benefit of the state if they don't convert, if they don't just start, using the tax money to develop the reserve. If they're using excess resources to develop the reserve, I think that's a good idea. But it won't be a good idea if they're putting like the article mentioned, what was it? Public resources. If they're using public resources to develop this reserve, I don't think it will be a good idea, because eventually at some point Bitcoin does have the tendency to drop. And when you have a large reserve, even a small price dump can be pretty huge. So yeah, we do have some other news, about XRP and so forth, but we'll cover that in some other live stream. I don't know how long has it been since I started streaming this, but yeah. Anyways, this is all of you guys in this stream, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So stay tuned.